Hello, everyone. This is Caillou, and welcome back to Moxtober Daily Recaps. Moxtober is a monthly event, or yearly event, where for each day in the month of October, there's a separate one word prompt based on which people design custom magic cards, or generally do activities in the sphere of custom magic. And usually, the cool part about these prompts is the various ways that different people interpret what might otherwise seem like straightforward words. So, since 2020, I've on and off been doing recaps of what designs people have made on each day of Moxtober. Um, Today's word is nocturnal, and for this spooky occasion, I'm joined by co host LeetWizard.
Hello, hello. I am LeetWizard. You may know me from MSC, where I am a fiend, and you may know me from Custom Magic, where I am a monitor. I've been working in the custom magic space for a few years now, and you might know some of my incomplete projects of Ordival, Equinox, and Untap Upkeep Chess.
It's a pretty on. You say incomplete, but I think lots of the space that you've explored in your sets is super inspiring, and I think that they're projects that people love. Um, and yeah, I think that just a generally cool community member to have around. So I'm excited to see what you make of the cards that we have here today. I said a very
Yeah.
similar thing to Espithal yesterday, and I think that I think it's going to hold for today. Is that I think both of you are designers who are a lot more easily able to look at cards from a slightly different perspective, or like uh, a perspective that is maybe less the norm. So I think I'm interested to see how that influences choice of cards and what we talk about.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Today's prompt was interesting. There were a lot of day and night cards on offer. I didn't pick any of them to talk about today. That's not a fault of them. I just don't like day and night.
Fuck Daybound Nightbound. All my homies hate
Like,
Daybound Nightbound.
I'm looking forward to what they try to do for the werewolves in Innistrad 4, whenever that is. Probably 2024.
But yeah, hit us with your first card, the distinctly not
Alright,
Daybound Nightbound card.
Alright, so today's first card, it's not a day-bound, night-bound card, but it is called Night. It is 2, and that's Night with an N. Well, no, it's a Night with no K. That will come up later. 2 and 2 black for creature Night Incarnation. That one is a Night with a K. It is a 4/4 and it has Menace. As long as Night is in your graveyard and you control a swamp, Knights you control have Undying, which means when they die, if they didn't have a +1/+1 counter, they return with a +1/+1 counter. The art is, I meant to look up how it's pronounced before we went live, a Dullahan or something? Headless Horseman, and it is very cool.
Yeah, and I think that mechanically, I love the idea of, again, bringing back the incarnation cycle where it's like, if this is in your
Yeah,
graveyard, you have the appropriate basic, do it thing, but then by limiting it to a specific tribe, it kind of uh, limits some of the
the
potential.
use case
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Now,
makes it more focused on a certain strategy, which I do think is a good approach to making incarnations, since they can kind of be. They're not really prone to interaction other than graveyard removal, and you can see how popular anger and wonder are. I also really like this card because it reminds me of Haken's Stromgald Scourge from Cold Snap, that legendary knight you can only cast from your graveyard.
yeah, that is a blast from the past. Um,
Yeah. one of the worst commander options, funnily enough, but unrelated to all that. I think this might be a little bit overtuned, but I think it might be the kind of powerful push that would make someone want to, in a standard environment, go, oh, okay, I'm gonna put all the good knights in a deck.
Yeah, and
I,
and, and honestly, the like before it used to be 5 drops, now it's become 4 drops. Like the impetus for cards to do something immediately has definitely like gone up. And while 4/4 menace is a chunky stat line, and
yeah,
it has like what do you call it, impact from your grave. The fact
it
that
does,
it is just a
yeah,
beater. Sorry. The fact that it's just
it,
a beater and is tribally like locked means that I think
yeah,
it's less crazy than it seems.
it is just a 4/4, and if they have exile-based removal, then that shuts down both this from going to your bin and your other knights from benefiting. I'm also really amused by the homonym in the name.
Yeah, that's the type of thing where it has me grinding my teeth because I'm like, oh, that's good, that's real
That's good,
nice.
that's good, that's funny, it's a knight that makes other knights better, and it's knight. That's funny. It's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that undying as a keyword is an interesting choice here, because
It
again, lots of the
definitely,
problems that tribal decks face is usually that they're slower than other aggro decks, and so this is essentially compensating for that by giving it an angle of resilience. Now, of course, Undying and Persist are dangerous keywords. I have not looked up
yeah.
all of the knights to see if there's anything that this does anything dangerous TM with, but you know, would be the first thing that this sets off alarm bells for me.
Yeah, I'd be happy to bring back Sir Conrad with this, or like Midnight Reaper. Uh,
Oh,
you know
that is
what
pretty
is
nasty.
you know what is a knight? Alenda the Dusk Rose, Champion of Dusk,
Oh,
literally
that
on a
ooh.
standard hammer.
Oh, this is giving me awful, miserable,
Oh,
evil ideas.
yeah, Cavalier of Night.
Yeah, so you
But
can
like
definitely do some crazy
that's
kitchen table
cool.
stuff with
So
this. Yeah.
yeah, I'd be more than happy to jam this in Commander and try to make a standard deck around it. Hope it works. Next up, right? Foxfire Agent. Unless you have anything to say about the previous one, in which case edit this out.
Uh, we don't do anything on these, and I don't have anything to say. Hit us with that next
Fair
card.
enough. Fair enough. Foxfire Agent. One in a black creature, Shade Ninja, with ninjutsu for black. So black, return an unblocked attacker to hand, put into play tapped and attacking. 1/1, and for X and a black, it gets plus X until end of turn. You may sacrifice a creature as you activate this ability to reduce the cost by that creature's power.
Huh. Okay, wording aside,
The
I
wording is probably a bit weird, but that's what happens when you do creative stuff. First thing, love the art on this. Very cool. I
for
don't
sure.
have anything insightful to say. It is a Jade Ninja. It
Yeah.
looks cool.
I mean, for me, what's really interesting about this is I think that it really pushes the fantasy of both tribes, in that with the
Yeah,
ninjas, it's sort of like one evasive creature can completely turn a board stall in your favor, and this
yeah,
is insanely good. Like you just have a 1/1 flyer, drop this in, sacrifice your big 6/6 that's at risk of trading with their 6/6, and all of a sudden the game's over. Um,
yeah. Unless they have removal, but like dice to removal has never been a good defense
mm-hmm,
or offense, I guess, and a card.
mm-hmm.
I like how it plays with other shades too, in that you can kind of pump them up and then put them into the agent by sacrificing them to make it unblocked. I don't think that'll come up. Not a lot of people play Shade decks,
Yeah, there is
but I think,
the unfortunate anti-synergy of all of them being mana hungry.
yeah. And ninjas also tend to be understated for the cost, but independently, it's cool. And if you give this something like lifelink, then
Yeah, you can very quickly start popping off. I also do like that it is in the ninja deck. You're fine playing this on turn two and using this as the ninjutsu enabler
yeah,
because
they don't want to block it.
yeah,
I didn't even think about that. I just saw, oh, plus X, and I get to sneak it in, and I can stack other things to it. Alright, I have been cordially invited to the carnival. Time to clown around.
yeah. This is a very I don't know if spiky is the right word. Maybe actually more of a Johnny card, but it is a very
Yeah,
like uh, it gets
there
the
is,
gears turning.
yeah, interesting plays can be made with it for sure.
Okay, I don't have anything else to say.
I also don't have anything else to say.
Cool. Oh wait, actually, we should shout out. Uh,
Oh
I
yeah,
I did.
completely forgot about that. Sorry. Knight was designed by Gardu with two W's and
Those are
Foxfire.
U's. Those are U's.
Oh yeah.
It makes it is a double U, but it's not a double
Well,
U.
yeah. Okay, so you've got Knight typed Knight, and you've got Guard U with W's. Okay, I see what you're doing there. And I was hoping I would find who designed Foxfire Agent by the time I got here.
Gene, Gene.
Gene the Supreme, also known as Geneth E. Supreme.
hmm
I'm sorry we forgot your names, and I'm sorry what I did to your names.
But we got there in a reasonably timely fashion. Okay, and see now, and
Yeah,
now we're gonna be on top of it for this third card, which is
Doomed Adventurer designed by Mark Confidant, great username, as two mana, a black and a green for a 2/1 human scout. As it ETBs, it lurks, which means exile a card from your hand. If you do, draw a card. When it dies, you may cast the lurking card if it's a creature card. When a creature cast this way enters the battlefield, it fights target creature you don't control.
I think that this
I'm
is
a big
another example of because Mark Confidant is making a mechanic a day for Moxtober, and this definitely feels like an example of I like the mechanic, I'm not sure I like the card.
Yeah, that's probably a better idea than what I'm planning on doing, which is to only make lands. But I'm, yeah, I don't have a huge opinion on Doomed Adventure. I like how casting the thing from your hand and making it immediately fight kind of feels black green to me. Like this wouldn't be okay in mono green, I think, and it'd be weird in black. I think the cost is right, but like you don't. It's a multicolor uncommon. I don't really see how it would fit into a set. But I like Lurking. It's a card quality mechanic, kind of like Learn, that, that can go in any color because it's a rummage. And there's a lot of potential design space for caring about characteristics of the Lurking card. And we did recently kind of see a not really similar at all now that I'm thinking about it, but I'm a big fan of cards with mechanics that are both, oh, I'm just gonna discard a land to this, draw a card, or I'm going to do something cool and wacky. Um, the card I was thinking of, I cannot remember the name of it. It's that little fat blonde creature from Doctor Who, Adipose,
Wait,
Offspring.
I, I, how? Why are the? Why is this coming up? This just threw me for a complete curveball.
So, yeah, it's a creature with emerge, but when it emerges, you create tokens equal to the emerged creature's toughness,
Oh, this is
and
new.
that
This
kind
is
of
new Doctor Who bullshit. I
yeah.
see.
If you don't care about Doctor Who, then you already said he won't edit this, so suck it.
But no, but yeah, that doesn't
It's a
make sense.
mechanic. That was a long way of saying it's a mechanic with a lot of versatility, both in how you play with it and how
Yeah,
you can design with it.
yeah, like ultimately, yeah, it is very much just you have a very simple base case that allows you to just have less non-games, and then
Yeah,
there are incentives to make you do the risky thing, or maybe not risky thing, but do the unusual or less direct thing. In this case, maybe putting a creature into lurking, and
yeah,
then yeah, um,
like connive.
yeah, exactly. Again, the specific design,
I'm not huge on,
yeah, uh,
but it does have day and night, so I'm okay with it.
yeah. Basically, it just the stuff that
I
allows you to spend mana when something dies usually isn't great because sometimes
yeah,
things are going to be dying on your opponent's turn. This like
you
having such
you
a
don't
crazy like
you don't want the tension between, oh, do I play the game or do I try to get value from the card I already played?
yeah, especially when the value from this is so like
Is a card.
yeah, it's a two for one.
Yeah, if you discard a creature to it and you don't have the mana needed to cast it, you feel bad because it feels being denied a card is a lot like losing a card.
Wow, this has
They're
been
different, but
insane insights with LeetWizard. Come back
if you
tomorrow for Water
look
is
to like,
Wet and the Sky is Blue.
well, okay, I know what I said is insane, but it's also correct. You're not losing a card, you're losing the potential to have a card.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when, and again, your card is coming in and it's killing one of their cards too. So
Yeah, which
you're
is
putting yourself
big
so far
annoying.
ahead. Yeah.
Could you imagine this plus like Ashnod's Altar?
Uh,
That'd be cool. Not efficient.
I was
Really, really inefficient. Actually, never mind. I think that makes the card seem worse. Uh,
Ashnod's Altar,
just put Skullclap.
notably incredibly fair card that does nothing with anything else.
Funny you say that. I was going to say, well, okay, it has one toughness and a dice trigger, Skull Clamp.
You know, actually, that skull clamp.
That's actually kind of cool.
That is actually kind of cool. Oh, that's
We
evil.
found a use for Skull Clamp, finally.
No need to thank us. Okay, now
Next,
that we've solved magic, what's the
now,
next card?
look, now that we've broken both Ashnod's Altar and Skull Clamp, which, secret tech, you can put both of those cards in the same deck, let's go on to Things in the Dark. 1 and 2 green for an enchantment by Provocative. Almost forgot about that. We said we wouldn't forget about it. Boy, almost forgot.
Yeah, I
Whenever
didn't forget. I was just letting you have the honor of saying who designed
you
it.
were letting me have the honor of forgetting. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, reveal the top card of your library. If it is a creature card with mana value less than that spell's mana value, put that creature card onto the battlefield under your control. Otherwise, you may put that card into your graveyard.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty sick. I think that this
It
is doing the very green type of non-creature hate that I love, where it's basically it's not just
there isn't actually hate. It's like getting upset and doing something different. It's not counterbalance.
yeah, or it's not like vexing shusher, which I think is the type of or guttural response, which I think is the type of green hate that people usually are like, ah, what the fuck, man, where it's kind of direct, blunt, and a little one note, while
You,
has interesting play
yeah,
to it. Which again,
and it
I think that
works.
vexing
Like
shusher
this.
is and similar cards are can be important safety valves or sideboard tools in the right meta. I'm just saying people
Yeah.
usually don't like playing against them.
Yeah, they're very directed, while this is something that even if you're including it as a way to cheat and stuff against the control player, another mid-range deck will play non-creatures anyway. It reminds me a lot of Lost in the Woods from Dark Ascension, which is an annoying enchantment that you put 50, 70, 80 forests in your deck and then you can't die. If you know, you know. I also do like how even if you miss, you get value from it by effectively surveilling.
Yeah, I like that it has
Also,
a quote unquote fail case in that sense. Yeah,
yeah, and the art on it is pretty good. I'm a big fan of children dying.
couldn't even get like two words into that, but yeah, I think that lots of the things we've seen so far for Nocturnal have sort of been like not and not to their detriment, but it's been generic like high fantasy in the night. Um,
Yeah,
well, this is sort of I think playing on a different sort of like I like because Fear of the Night is like a very maybe not like just childish thing, but it is a thing that's very commonly attributed to being a childish fear, right? And so I
right.
think that that this is sort of playing on that trope in a cool way.
Yeah, and it's also the only card I've selected that isn't in some way black, which is a. Well, I don't want to say a refreshing change, I don't care. But it is interesting. I like how the art kind of looks like night vision goggles, and I've officially reached the stage of commentary where I am insane.
Okay, but it does, right? Like I don't know if
Yeah,
I need to go and look up
I don't
if
know if that's intentional or if the art has been color shifted.
yeah, yeah, if it because I definitely have found art where the tint of the art has pushed me to color the card in a certain way, but also times
Yeah,
where I've needed to edit it. So after this, I'm going to look up the original art by Ibrahim
or
Suede and check it out.
times like the specialized cards where you just make all different heavily shifted versions. I hope you don't do that. I'm not a big fan of that.
But yeah,
Last last card I have selected, definitely not the least, is Nocturno's Nefarious Night, designed by Gateway 7 Ren, my buddy, my pal. It is 1 and 2 black for an acorn card. Sorcery. Choose a word with 5 or more letters. You draw X cards, you lose X life, where X is the number of permanents you control with the chosen word in the rules text. If the chosen word was Nightbound or Transform, you draw X cards and gain X life instead. No, you can submit Acorn cards to this challenge? Unreal.
kind of fucked up to be honest. Um, but yeah, this is God. This is such a fucking weird card. Um,
I I like it. Think I think what it's doing is I'm a big fan of undesign in general, and I like seeing ways to implement it that kind of act as a rule smooth over for Magic, where you're using the liberty of undesign and not caring about what a comprehensive rule list is to make cards that will support a strategy in a way that works.
Yeah, and I think that this card is one of those things where if you can reliably build up a board presence, it's kind of cracked. But if you just have like two permanents, it's just a divination, which is like, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
If they have the same word in their rules text.
yeah. But
Which, I mean, like, other than Nightbound or Transform, good options are Enters,
yeah, yeah, okay. Actually, you know what? I
Battlefield.
want this to be non-land, so it doesn't do like
Oh, yeah.
you just play like tap lands, and it's like on turn four, I'm gonna draw four cards and lose four life for 3 mana or something, and with no board presence. Like I think the interesting
Yeah.
part of this is forcing it to be in a mid-range deck rather than a control deck.
Yeah. I agree that it probably should hit non-lands. I I think theoretically, I think the reward for choosing Nightbound or Transform could honestly be higher because, as it is, I think the most effective way to use it would be weird draw, weird painful truths. That's sometimes really painful truth. I also imagine in a number of board states, you will be able to narrow down how much you need to draw in case you're going to get killed horribly if you draw too many,
Yeah,
negating one of the downsides of a Sign and Blood effect.
yeah. I think that the life loss on black draw spells has become sort of incidental, and I think it would be nice to sort of like I like that this sort of brings back that tension.
Yeah.
Um,
If you're winning too much, you might draw too many cards and die.
mhm.
Ooh, okay, I play Shieldred.
Just shut up. Okay, you know what I'm
I
talking
want,
about.
yeah, I get it. I shouldn't bring up Shieldred as a defense of a card or criticism. Am I? Hold on, which one of them am I doing right now?
The bad
I don't
one,
know.
the evil
Yeah.
one.
Oh, I'm evil. I'm going to pick Moonfolk.
You know
Anyway,
what?
this card's cool. I'm. I don't like the Nocturnal character's hair.
You know, with that insightful commentary, I think we're good to move to our next card. Um,
Alright.
I'm in the driver's seat now, so we're going to be talking
I've
about
I've lost permission.
card choosing permissions revoked. Um,
You brought up Shieldred. I need to go sit in my booster seat.
so my card is going to be Sortie Soiree by Juliet, and this is part of Juliet's ongoing Castmire Jumpstart project. Uh, And so it's a 2 and a red for sorcery. Up to 2 target creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain trample until end of turn. Whenever either of those creatures deals damage this turn, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. So pretty like a pretty decent both combat steroid and card advantage engine, but
Yeah,
obviously because it's this turn and you're already paying 3 mana into it, you better have a land drop free and you better have some good mana ready. And it also has Waltz 2 and a red. where Waltz is essentially a weird version of Dredge, where you can skip a draw and mill three, so it's a fixed value. And then if you do that, then you can cast when you do that, you can cast it. You can essentially flashback it for its Waltz cost, which is incredibly odd, and it's bringing back a mechanic which is notably not great, but I do like the idea. It feels
It
very
it
like
merits discussion,
it
which
honestly
is a
feels
lot.
very
Which
like
is a
jumps.
lot more. Yes, sorry. Go
I
on.
was just saying it feels very like jumpstart adjacent, not like the format, but like the mechanic where it's
Yeah,
like you're giving up a card in exchange for like again casting a different card.
yeah,
The mill three self enabling, not sure how to feel about it.
yeah. It feels very Jumpstart, not to be confused with the Castmire Jumpstart project. Also, I said it merits discussion, which is a lot more than can be said for most dredge fix attempts. A lot of attempts to fix dredge are not good, but I like Waltz. I feel as though the way the rules are written on it might be a bit unclear. If you would draw a card, you may mill three cards instead. Does that mean if I don't want to play it, I can just skip a draw to mill three? If so, then that's basically dredge, because at that point it's repeatable, and even unlike something like Golgari Grave Troll, you don't need a way to put it back in the graveyard, it'll stay there.
Yeah, it probably
I
should be like if you would draw a card, you may mill three cards and exile this instead. If you
Yeah.
do, you may cast this from exile for blah blah blah.
Or or what I would do is if you would draw a card, you may pay 2 red and exile this. If you do mill 3, then cast it for free.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that the being able to repeatedly mill is definitely an
Yeah.
unintended use case. Um,
Yeah, but I think I think it's interesting. I think this is
and
pretty close to a fixed version of Dredge, if such a thing is possible. And the card itself, I am fond of.
yeah, I do like again. It breaks board stalls, which are a common issue in limited. It gives you card advantage. It it just does
You can
a
cast
lot of like little neat utility stuff.
you can cast it twice.
Yeah,
Something
so
I'd
it's an
be
inherently
happy
card.
to
Yeah,
like one of in a limited deck, but that's not a criticism of the card. You wouldn't play this in 2 copies in most decks.
yeah, and like there are cards like Trumpet Blast, where that's a fine place.
Truffle Trumplet Blast.
Okay, I don't know what I said. If I didn't say Trumpet Blast, fuck you.
Trumplet. Lil Trump.
No, okay, we're not going down this road. I said Trumpet Blast. I meant Trumpet Blast. Y'all understood that I said Trumpet Blast. I said Trumpet Blast, which is a very common 2 red instant. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. Boom.
Actually, attacking creatures get +2/+0. You see, you said that, and if you had cast that while being attacked, you would have lost the game.
Okay, so you know that's all
Only the
that.
most insightful commentary from me. So when am I getting put back on this show?
Well, you know what? I'll give you a few more chances to redeem yourself. Um,
Alright.
l-
I'll try not to squander them too badly.
too quickly. Um, Next up, we have Eyes in the Night, designed by Red Bay, which is 2 black for a sorcery, and it creates 3 different types of tokens. You make a 1/1 black bat creature token of flying, a cat with lifelink, and a rat with this can't block. I think that this is a pretty neat card. Now, do I think it should be common? Fuck
No.
no. I think that
Fuck
this.
no. Hordling Outbursts is high, and also
Yeah, this is like
is
Hordling
sad,
Outburst plus.
but evasion plus lifelink.
Yeah, in a color that can really make use of those tokens in a all like obviously red can make use of the tokens in aristocracy way as well, but like black is really like
Yeah.
eyeing this and salivating.
Black
But
black should be more efficient than red at this, but I
yeah,
have in the past assigned 3 mana source 3 make 3/1/1s in black at uncommon, which is where this should be.
yeah, I think one black black uncommon. Let's just assume that this is that for balance purposes. And I think
Yeah,
as a card, I think it hits a really neat. It's really easy to comprehend. It hits a cool
yeah.
flavor note, and it's immediately mechanically attractive, in a way
And
that
it
it
rhymes.
and it rhymes. And I think that this is the type of card which I think is compelling to new and old players alike, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that the big issue with gameplay is alleviated in digital play because in paper you're making 3 tokens. Better hope you have all the tokens. They all do different things.
Yeah, if you play in paper in 2023, rip
then,
bozo.
then, yeah, imagine.
Yeah, imagine having IRL friends to play Magic with. Couldn't be
God,
me.
God, yeah. My minor One of the interesting things about these kinds of cards for design challenges I've noticed is that a lot of them, while cool, might struggle to actually be fit into a set. This card either demands that your set has 1/1 black flyers, 1/1 life linkers, and 1/1s that can't block all in it, which would cannibalize each other's design space. Or you're using like 1 to 3 unique tokens for this card, which
Yeah, I think people like
I would
hem and
I
haw
would
about.
avoid, but I'm not you, and it doesn't really matter, so
Yeah, I think people hem and haw about unique tokens a lot, but I think that the cases that people are worried about where it causes like overhead like comprehension complexity or just like issues with expectations are usually a lot fewer in practice, especially if you have like this sort of case where it's like there's maybe the common 1/1 token and then two one-offs. It's like you're not likely to be like confused about like, oh man, which one is this creating? Which like it's just like yeah, in general I just think that the one-off
it's
tokens,
over.
especially in digital where it doesn't really matter, I think it can be done a lot more freely than people are willing to do sometimes.
Yeah, but they can't do stuff like that in paper, and the way paper design and how WotC does their stuff influences how people online do it, even when it might not be applicable. For better and for worse.
Yeah, I think that's a good note to end talking about this card on. And then second to last one, we've talked about a mono red card. We've talked about a mono green card. I think there literally is not a mono white card in the file to talk about, but
Let me check.
I just went through and checked. I don't think there's a mono white one, but there is a mono blue one. So we're just going to quickly talk about that one. It's Blue Moon Nocturnus, designed by Just Nigel. Um, and it's a 4 mana 3/3 Merfolk Wizard. You play with the top card of your library revealed. As long as the top card of your library is blue, Blue Moon Nocturnus and other Merfolk you control get +0/+3 and deal damage to creatures in the form of stun counters. Um, Mechanically,
Notably, notably, it is triple blue pips. I
mm,
think that will come up. Although the text doesn't want you to play this in a non-blue deck, so
yeah, like okay. Mechanically, I can like do without this card. It is a it has a lot of moving parts that don't really end up resulting in, I think,
Yeah.
satisfying play patterns. I do like.
Dealing damage to creatures and stun counters doesn't work the way you really want it to unless you're blocking. And if you're playing a tribal strategy, especially tribal merfolk, you want to be blocking as little as feasibly possible.
Yeah, like you want your payoff to be pushing your game
Th-
state in a proactive way and not in a reactive way.
This also prohibits your creatures from being able to kill blockers, which is
Oh, that is ugh, ah,
not
ouch.
good.
Yeah,
Not good.
yeah. So mechanically, again, not a fan. Flavorfully, though, I really do like this as a alternate take on the concept of like nocturnal.
Merfolk.
Yeah, merfolk and what being nocturnal means. Just like the idea of like uh, night being connected to the moon and moon being connected to the tides, and so you have like this nocturnal moonfolk clan that like comes out only when the moon is up, and therefore, let's say they have more power, or like
Yeah,
that's a common like fantasy or just general
yeah.
cultural trope of like moon means more water power.
Yeah, or sea creatures being connected to the tides. It reminds me a lot of the Ideneth Deepkin from Age of Sigmar. If you know, you know. I won't go into detail about it, but DM me about it.
Yeah, I think that if there's a running theme on this show, it's my guests making pop culture
Well,
references and just me being ultimately clueless. So,
Age of Sigmar isn't popular. It's Warhammer 40k for people who are bigger nerds.
it is, okay, you know what?
Like,
Maybe not pop culture, just culture TM.
I know if what I describe as Spiteful is talking about is culture, but okay. He had a last episode. He had a profile picture from Billacutin or something, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, I like the flavor text on this too.
yeah, I think ultimately, as a flavor package, I think this does a lot of work. But
I'm
mechanically, I would like it to, again, be
not.
aggressive. Yeah.
I like what this is suggesting flavorfully. I think. Do you think there's play in tide kind of the tide and natural forces being connected to the top card of your library being revealed?
I think there's something interesting there, but it does require a degree of top deck manipulation. It introduces a thing where like I guess I don't think it can be a theme, right? But I think it can be like a sub
Yeah,
package because all the cards need to have that line of play with the top card of your library revealed. Um,
yeah. It would be good if it was like a 1 mana 1/1 that became a 2/2 if your top card was an island or something like that.
yeah, I like and like lands are a lot easier to have at the top. I think that if there was like minor scry synergies and
Yeah, which it's a blue-based tribe. They can have access to that.
yeah, so I could definitely see this being a theme in a set. um, where maybe your
Like
main
a
lords and
sub thing.
payoffs, like
Yeah.
your individual creatures have general top deck manipulation to help you find your lords, and then once you found your lords, the lords care about the top card of your library. I could see
Yeah,
that being.
that's pretty interesting, I think, both to design and to think about gameplay sequencing and so on.
Okay, so the last card I have. Oh,
Basically, we like the card, we wish it was different,
yeah.
but we like the card. Insightful as always.
hmm So the last card I want to talk about today is Fated Insomniac by Raidzel, um, which is a 4/3 for 2. But it enters the battlefield with 2 stun counters on it. So, oh no, okay, it sucks. You're gonna have to wait alternate turns to use your big beater. But you can pay 1 and a blue to have it gain vigilance until end of turn. So if you're willing to keep pumping mana into it, you can have an uh,
A
above curve, yeah,
vigilance.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
vigilant above curve early beater.
I'm a fan of this. I do kind of feel as though one and a blue to give this vigilance is a bit of a trap. That is a lot of mana to put into a creature, especially more than once. Then you've invested 6 mana into a 4/3.
It's yeah, it is. It's in a weird spot where it's best to like it's best to pump mana into this early because that's when you're most likely to be getting like a combat advantage out of it, right? Um,
Yeah, if you attack with this and then it's locked down for 2 turns, you've only done 4 damage in 3 turns.
yeah, and then but then if you are investing mana into this early, you're then hindering your development, which is it's so it isn't like I think that it has play to it and there are reasonable trade-offs, but I do agree that it's the type of card which is probably going to be a trap for some people. And they're going to
Yeah,
like sometimes you just use this as 2 mana deal for that eventually comes back around and you have to be fine with that.
yeah, or you keep it, you avoid attacking with it, and then you have a 4/3 defender that can kill a planeswalker when you need to.
Hmm.
I will note, speaking of traps, I will note that because if I recall correctly, and I know you'll let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, if a permanent has a stun counter on it during your untap step and is already untapped, it won't lose the counter. I think that's something important to keep in mind when evaluating the card.
Yeah, I don't know if that's
If
true
you,
or not, but I'm going to trust you on this one. And then if I get burned, I can blame you just like the comments will.
I probably could have checked while you were talking earlier, or any time before the show, or in the middle of me talking about how I could have searched for it.
Hmm.
There's no part two to that sentence.
Um, but yeah, I think that this is just a neat card. And
I
oh wait, actually, that's what I was gonna say. I think that I could also very much see this in a limited environment where the 4 power threshold is relevant, right? Like there's a ferocious
yeah,
type
like that.
archetype. Yeah.
Yeah, like how that 4/1 for 2 when they were forged worked, or I think there's like a 4/3 defender for cheap in one of the recent core sets.
Hmm. But yeah, in general,
I
like you can get value out of this in multiple ways. So
also a softer way of pushing 2 color, where you it's a fine card even if you don't have blue. And I also think it's a good interpretation of Nocturnal.
hmm.
That is, someone who is awake at night.
Yeah, and also awake at day, but
Well,
awake at night.
yeah. RIP to everyone who put a day and night card.
Yeah, if you put a day and
I'm
night card in here,
I'm sorry what WotC did to you.
yeah, you're allowed to enjoy what you enjoy, but also I hate your guts. Uh, and
And if you
and the
want
way
to
and the way
persuade
that you have
Caillou,
yeah, and the way
if you
that you
want to
have fun
persuade Caillou
disgusts me.
otherwise, if you would like to persuade Caillou otherwise, join the show. Be active in Moxfield. Fucking shout at him publicly, where I can kill you for being mean to my friend.
No, but genuinely,
Don't do that.
if you want to submit cards for future episodes, um, you know, just shouting it out. If you don't include day and night, you might have a higher chance of appearing. But you can
Yeah,
use the $ Moxtober command in the custom magic Beacon of Creation or MSE servers. The description will have a link to the Beacon of Creation server, so you can join there. The description will also have a link to the MSE set file for today and all previous days, so you can check out the cards we talked about. And the day and night cards we didn't talk about, and it'll also have a link.
They're
Oh,
not bad. Like, let me just make that clear. They're
yeah,
not
we're just we.
necessarily bad.
I think
I'm
it.
just mean.
Yeah, and again, I think that for me it was like there were day and night designs that were like passable or acceptable, but in general, I think that they didn't like cross the bar of like, despite for me at least, despite having this mechanic which leads to play patterns I'm not a fan of, the design overcomes that. Um,
Yeah, having day and night kind of puts you at a disadvantage with regards to design. You're leading with something that I'm not necessarily fond of,
yeah,
which can pay
you
off
know,
well if you do it in an interesting way, like
I think I should
the
have brought a guest
soiree
on who's
card.
like I should have brought a guest on who's a day and night fan, so it wasn't just both of us being like, yeah, d- beat him up, get him,
Well,
but kick
Caillou,
day and night again.
I will point out, as we record this, it is 7:15 p.m., which is night. Maybe I'd be nicer to it in the day.
So true. Anyways, to continue with my outro that I was doing before we went on our day and night apologia,
You should start back over,
um,
honestly.
the
Uh,
the dis-
hashtag Moxfield, I mean $ Moxfield.
it's Moxtober. Moxfield is the deck building site. Look,
Hashtag Moxtober.
look. Let me just finish this. Okay,
Okay, let's try that again.
I'm going to kill you.
Hey, speaking of trying again, when are you bringing me on a second time?
Um, if you would like to co-host so that I don't have to do that, let me know by either leaving a comment on this video or DMing me at Kayu102. That's KAYIU 102. Um, and I was saying before, the description has an image with all of the 31 prompts for each of the days this month, so you can look ahead and see what's coming up and maybe get some inspiration. But yeah, um, this was a chaotic time, but I had a lot of fun. I hope y'all did too. And
I had fun.
yeah, no one asked you. And until tomorrow, this is Caillou
You have
signing
you have
off.
me on this show implicitly. You were asking me. Don't cut me off.